Welcome to Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole, hosted by two nationally published Atlanta interior designers, Joann Kandrak and Kelli Cole. These energetic women are also world travelers, charity givers, and bloggers with a wealth of information to share and stories to tell about the interior design world. Okay, now just a warning, this is going to be fun and not too serious. After all, they still do have an interior design business running at full speed.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 79 of Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole. And today we're talking about some funny things you didn't know about us. So we are many weeks into the COVID-19 quarantine at the time we are recording this. So we thought we should have a lighthearted show today. We hope you don't mind if we use this opportunity to have a little more fun than usual this week. So we thought we'd share some funny stories about us as individuals, our company, and our projects, because I think we all need it right now. But before we get started, we just wanted to let you know that this episode of Inside Design with Kandrak and Cole is sponsored by one of our go-to lighting manufacturers, Curry & Company. So check them out. It's Currey. They have a bunch of new introductions in all their collections because they don't just sell lighting, they sell mirrors and furniture as well. So their new collections for spring 2020 are super great. And they've got a few new ones that are our new favorites. One, check it out, is the Samoa chandelier that is hand woven with abaca rope, because we've talked a lot about, rattan and natural woven things coming back into all facets of products. So check that one out. And then there's another one that I just love, and I'm dying to use it like in a little powder room or something. It's called the Tulipano pendant, and it's actually a lantern made of iron, and it's finished in a white gesso, which is kind of like a white chalky finish. And in the middle is a blooming flower in the middle of the lantern, and then the light bulb is in the middle of the flower. So we just always want to bring your attention to Curry & Company.
Yeah, I was looking at their website recently, and they have a lot of new. There's a little button you can press that says Shop New. And we've talked about this before, they come out with so many new introductions. And the other thing that might be interesting for people is they have a designer gallery. As you look at the website, you go down to the bottom and there's a designer gallery, and different designers will post pictures of their lighting in the rooms that they've done. So if you need help visualizing something in a room, you can look through those, and they have some great, beautiful photography showing their actual, pieces in a room.
That's a great point, and I even look at that regularly.
I do.
Sometimes just to get a sense of the scale, because sometimes you look and you're like, okay, 24 inches, 36 inches, I think that's good. But when you see it in the room, immediately you know if it's too big or too small.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let us go ahead, and we're going to start. So many of you know we'll be celebrating our 15-year anniversary this year of Kandrak and Cole. And Kelli and I have such a history. It goes back. And when we were creating this outline, we were giggling because we think about how we have evolved and some of the things that we did like in the very beginning. So when we first started, we both worked from home. And so Kelli had the fabrics and things at her house. I had other things at my house. And it was kind of this, we just had to evolve. So working from home was the first thing we did, of course. And then the funny thing was when we first started our business, we went right to Bank of America, opened up an account, got a storage unit, and just opened up our doors.
How many times did we go to that storage unit? So we were so proud of ourselves that we had it for a solid, 8 years or something, maybe even more. And we had this, one of those kind of drive up storage where you lift the garage door and you have a padlock on it. And it had all of our accessories. So if we would shop for a job, they would all get dumped in there. If we had extra fabric or we had pieces we didn't use, we had a big table set up in there.
Yeah. Our install bucket.
Yeah. I'm going to storage today. Does anybody need anything?
Yep. But the funny thing is we were, like Kelly said, back and forth from the storage unit. Well, we had been doing this and picking up things that we had a mail copy location that we would pick up things. And one day, this 8x10, or maybe it was a 9x12 rug arrived there. And they called and said, you guys have got to get this out of here. So I was driving a van, and so we said, let's go get this. So here we are schlepping this thing, trying to cram it into the van so the door would shut. And it was just funny because this is how, our brains kind of work. We both looked at each other, and I remember specifically the moment we said, that's it, we're getting an assistant. And at that moment is when we decided to do it. We were over it.
I was done. I mean, and this is like 10 years ago when we were more spry, right? And we're sweating and we're heave-hoing this stupid rug and we're trying to shove it. And then we were complaining to a colleague or something, and they're like, hello, that's what college boys are for. And we were like, we are so stupid. I mean, and somebody said it was a coach or something we were at, and they were like, if you pay an assistant $10, $15, $20 an hour, think about, that investment and what that person can do for you in a day. And we both looked at each other. We were so tired. We just were like, duh, it's time to hire somebody.
It's scary. It's scary to think about having to pay somebody else. And when you're first starting out your business, you don't have a ton of extra money. So, but it was the smartest decision, and we've had help ever since. So,
the vision of carrying that rug, I'll never forget it.
Yeah. And some of the other things that are so funny, we had these daytimers that we thought that we were so cool and so organized, and we had the exact same one, and it was for several years that we used these until Kelly's husband, who said, you guys need to start using the calendar on your phones. We were so afraid to do it. Now, I can't even imagine not using the one on the phone. So it's all about evolving. But when we think back in our infancy, it's just really... It's really amazing how far we've come.
Well, I'm all about this evolving now because I think we've all had a lot of time being at home to really think about our life and our work life and our home life and how it all operates. And I think about how much pushback we gave Mike I'm like, I like my paper daytimer. I like to turn the pages. I like to cross out lines. I like to have it. Don't stop messing with me. He's like, you guys are such losers. You have no idea the capabilities you could have if you had Google Calendar on your iPhone. And now I don't know what I would do without it. So it's just like, we have this software that we use called Studio Designer. And we jumped into this, 10 years ago or something.
At least.
Before that, we were just cleaning out our attic, and we pulled out some client files that we were going to toss, and we looked back at like our proposals, and we put together our budgets on Excel spreadsheets, and it was so archaic looking back, but we were so proud, and we were still really efficient, and we were doing it, we were rocking and rolling, but I look back at those Excel spreadsheets, and now we have this, fancy proposal, and we have, it's all in the cloud, and it's like, oh my God, I laugh.
And then, so going back design wise, when we go back and look at some of the things that we've done, well, first of all, we had our go-to paint colors. I mean, this is, 15 years ago with like 2005. So I can't tell you how many times these are the three colors that I think we did in almost every house, because whites were not cool back then. Mm-hmm. So Ruskin, these are all Sherwin-Williams, Ruskin Room Green. But then Duron had this, I don't remember if it was called cherry red.
It was like red chili pepper or something.
Yeah, it was chili pepper. You're right. It was chili pepper. And we did probably every dining room red for years.
Oh my God.
And then what was considered the neutral was like whole wheat, but it was kind of a goldish beige.
It was a dark goldish tan. Yeah. And there was a whole bunch with that whole wheat like that we used. Was that Ben Moore or was that Sherwin-Williams?
Whole wheat
I can't remember.
I think was Sherwin-Williams. But Ben Moore had like a basket beige or there was one that everybody did.
Everything was so dark back then, and it was just, I look back, I'm like, I hope those colors
Well, it's funny because if we go to a new client consultation, let's just say somebody hasn't done anything in their home for 15 years, which there's a lot of people, if they're raising kids, they don't, maybe they wait until the kids move out to redo. But we would walk into a house and go, oh, yep, there's whole wheat. there's that color. Like, and I'm sure now people will go back and go, oh, remember Dove White? Remember when those walls were so light? It's just kind of how it goes. But
Joann, every dining room had silk panels.
Oh yeah,
we put silk panels. Why was that a thing? I don't even know. Maybe
it was a thing.
Dining rooms were dressier then, and now they're more casual. And now we use a lot of linen and.
What about the silk arrangements? I remember having like feathers in those. I mean, talk about a dust nightmare, but we did them. What about putting the ivy above the kitchen cabinets? Oh my God, I cringe.
We were so good at it though. We had this lady named Janet. She was just a godsend to us. So every time we needed like a big, huge centerpiece, or we needed a tree, or we needed sconces, she made the most beautiful silk arrangements with peacock feathers and dried, everything preserved, and so incredible. We loved those things. And then we were queens of accessorizing the tops of kitchen cabinets. We had it all layered. We had like books and bricks and pieces of wood that made things layered, and we had ivy, fake of course, and we had like baskets and tin things and ceramics, and we just jazzed up the top of those. And now we go to people's houses and we're like, take it all down. That must go.
Yeah, exactly.
How did this happen? It's just, oh my gosh.
I know.
We evolve, as you said.
And then we were thinking back on all the education and all the industry things that we did, coaching and whatever, that has really helped our businesses so much. So I'll just run through these pretty quickly because, we have a lot to get through. But one of the very first things we did was the BPN with David Shepard.
Oh, yes.
BPN, the Best Practices Network.
Yes.
And we met a lot.
It was a great thing for us. It was the first kind of business conference for kind of from a Harvard teaching perspective that David Shepard put on. And it was we really learned a lot. It really we met Tobi Fairley there and ended up doing her Mastermind group. Then we did Design Camp, which didn't last very long, but I loved it. That was with Kelli, Ellis, and Lori Dennis. And then we did, I forgot about this one, Kel. Remember when we went to Washington, D.C. for that window coverings? I loved it.
That was really good. Donna L. spoke about taking the credit card. And
yes. And, you just hope that when you go to these conferences and stuff, that you just get a few nuggets that are life-changing. And I'll never forget Donna L. She's a designer in Massachusetts, Cape Cod area, I think. And she was just sassy and bold. And I remember her being up there going, people, take the credit cards. Who cares about the fee? You can get people will charge more and buy more if you can put it on a credit card. And then she had a whole thing on, in contracts, you should absolutely have a contract about the fact that you have the right to terminate a client as they have the right to terminate you if things aren't going well. And she was just so in your face about it. And I remember going back and remember we called the bank people, and at the time it was all this, there was no Square back then. It was all complicated how to take credit cards, and we went back and we changed our contract right away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I think we fired a client like a week later.
I'm ready to fire one now. But every single thing that we did, and we invested. We had to fly there. We had to stay in a hotel. But I will say, every single one of these events that we went to, we learned something. And sometimes they were, being in Atlanta, a lot of things are here. But, some of the things we had to travel for, but I will never regret doing that. We learned a lot, and it's really formed our business.
Yeah, ADAC and the influencers conference, and then just picking up little tidbits. We had a little, Cheminne Taylor Smith is a business coach, and she's been wonderful for us. She's in Highpoint, North Carolina. Amy Fleury is another one who has gave us some little nuggets just recently. She said, I think we've talked about this already, but she said to us, I look at your Instagram page, and I think you're designers, but you look more like influencers. And, because we kind of had a mishmash on our Instagram page, it was so helpful. I mean, we went back and changed our Instagram wall immediately.
Yeah. You have to look at your own stuff sometimes with fresh eyes because you want to know how, and that's one of the questions we asked her. It's like, when you look at, our social media, our whole deal, what do you perceive us as? And I mean, she said some good things, very experienced and whatever, but it was the Instagram page that really, we hadn't really thought about. So just, pick people's brains. Yeah.
I think seeing your business through other people's eyes is a great thing.
Yes. The traveling over the years, Highpoint we've been to, God, I'd love to figure out how many steps we've walked the city of Highpoint in all the years that we've gone. But that is always a big highlight for us. We love that. And then, being influencers has really given us some opportunities. We went with Mo Danis on blog tour. That was an amazing trip. And then we recently went to Napa for the Signature Kitchen Suite event. And then our yearly Guatemala trip, which Kelli has so graciously brought so many people and introduced them to this beautiful mission work. So really proud of all those things we've done.
We've had a lot of fun, and it's been great to get away. And it's one of the things I'm missing the most being at home is just being exposed to new things. I get tired of being, my exposure simply being on the internet. I want to do it in person.
Yeah. We would be leaving for Highpoint tomorrow, Cal. We would have been leaving for Highpoint.
Oh my God. Well, you know what? Secretly, I'm glad we're not because my foot's not ready. And yeah.
And I would not want to be pushing you around in a wheelchair. Yeah.
I'd be like, Joann, help me. But really, when we think about like the funny things, you guys, we think about like, how far we've come business-wise and all the travel that we've done. But seriously, when we think about, now, if you think 15 years of going to clients' homes, and we generally have at least one, sometimes two new client appointments every single week. So one time we drive up to this house, okay? And I think this might have been before we had Amy really like thoroughly qualifying our clients. Oh, yeah. Joann, okay.
Amy wasn't even working for us then.
Yeah. Okay. So we pull up and we get to the door and literally, I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but it was like, there was just this crap all over the lawn. The front door was just, oh my God, it was so dirty. There was a pot that had like a plant that was like, had been dead for 10 years. And we looked at each other and I said, quick, text Drew and tell him the address where we're at. We need to them know to call us in 30 minutes and make sure we're okay. I mean, then we got the giggles and we knew the lady was going to come to the door. It was the nervous giggles, and we were like choking and trying not to pee in our pants.
Kelli kept going,
"Don't lady, open the door."
Kelli was like, "Don't look at me! Don't look at me! Don't look at me!" And I think this might have been the same couple that they both came to the door, and I think they were actually eating breakfast.
Different person.
That's different person.
Okay. Are you talking about breakfast now?
Yeah, the one person that basically
different
they
person,
ate their
different
breakfast
person
in front of us. Yeah, that was really nice. All right, this is another one that just these are the moments that you just will never forget. So we go into a woman's house and she is showing us around, and it's not the tidiest house, and I think she had 2 dogs, and so she's taking us upstairs to the master bedroom. And as we're walking up the carpeted steps, she stops for a minute and she goes, oh, sorry about that. And there is a little pile of throw up. I don't know if it was, it was the dog. I think she had a couple cats too. And she just took a rag and just covered it and said, well, let's continue to go up the stairs. Kelli and I, we did that, where you do that look at each other, our eyes huge, once again, trying not to laugh, trying to maintain our cool. But these are just things that you can't even believe that people will do.
What was so funny about that, Joann, was that the lady, I think it was the lady, then it was me, then it was Joann going up the stairs. So the lady does a hard stop when she sees the puke. And so I stop and Joann completely bumps into me. It was like cha-cha-chink,
Yeah.
And the woman did not miss a beat. Now, Joann is not a pet lover. I am. So every time we get to a client's house and we ring the doorbell, we wait for the barking so we can get, if it's a little bark, she's kind of okay. If it's a big bark, it's like, oh geez, here we go again. So it was just so funny that not only are we in a house with dogs, as we usually are, but that, I'm telling you, she was probably really embarrassed. So she was probably trying to make light of it, but it was just so hilarious. It was like dominoes, like, cluck, 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 and like, there was the puke, and then we're tripping over each other, and then the house was so dirty, and it was just like we're looking at each other like, oh my gosh, Joann, I forgot about the house that we went to where I got the migraine afterwards. Remember, we went far into the country.
Yes.
And this lady her husband was on a oxygen tank, but yet he was in the kitchen smoking up a storm. I kid you not. The whole house was so smoky. So I'm giving Joann, after about 45 minutes, I'm giving Joann the eye like, I don't feel so good. Like I'm getting a really bad headache. This smoke is just, I can't do it. So we get in the car and literally we had Joann, an hour ride home. I couldn't talk. I had the window down. I threw up in the car. And then Joann takes the wrong exit. Do you remember this? She takes the wrong exit. Yes. That was all it took. Actually, I hadn't thrown up yet. We were so close to home, mentally, she's like, I'm going to bring you back to my house. I'm just going to put you to bed for a little bit. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, oh, crap, I took the wrong exit. And as soon as I knew she just added 5 minutes, I was like, bleh! It was so awful. And then I passed out in her house in the dark for 3 hours. She had to wake me up because I had to pick my kids up at carpool. All because of the man smoking on the oxygen tank.
Oh my God! We could go. We could go on and on and on with the stories because it's 15 years of all this. But one of the really funny ones was doing an install, and we were installing red silk draperies. I remember this
Never
perfectly.
Forget it.
Yes, the client was a vet and had several animals, and there was a cat who wasn't really too happy about us being in there, and our installer had brought the window panels in, carrying them very carefully so they wouldn't wrinkle, and laid them over like a chair, and went on to get some other tools, and comes back to grab the draperies, and in the pleat was a nice little puddle of cat pee. He's the calmest guy. He was flipping out. He was so furious. We don't really want to get water or whatever. So he's trying to take this pool of pee and try to soak it up. I'm running around the house like a maniac, looking for a blow dryer in a bathroom. I wish we could have had a video of that day, and we still joke about it to this day.
Classic. These super expensive panels. Oh my God! And that cat. Yeah. We turned around for 1 second, and that cat had just full on peed. Oh my God.
We could write a book
in my life.
We could write a book on install blunders. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah. So for all of you people that think that all we do is shop for fun. Okay. Yeah. So, all right, we got to kind of speed up through the rest. We have 6 minutes, Joann.
Okay. Well, a lot of people always ask us, how do you, being partners, who does what? How do you figure out who does what? And we've said, it kind of naturally, it just has evolved that way. And thank God, it's never been like, you do this, I'll do that. It just has evolved naturally. So when it comes in who's charge of what, Kelli is the ultimate writer. She does most of the writing for anything that we do. She has a husband who works for Apple, so in the technology area, she's got that covered. Reading blueprints, she's way better at it than I am. And her OCD office cleanliness is nice, but I have an OCD husband, then I have an OCD work husband, so I really don't catch a break. And then she's the window treatment queen. She's very good at all that technical stuff.
And then Joann helps me out because when it comes to measuring wallpaper, forget it. I don't even try because she's so good at it and she has such a background in it. But she's also so good at kitchen and bath selections. Like she loves to be in a tile showroom and put it all together and all the hardware. And I'm kind of like, I like it, but you're kind of like really good at it. So could you do that? And then I'll be over here working on this. And then, we do a lot of color consultations and sometimes one of us has more energy than the other. But she's always so good at coming up with some great new colors. She also does all the work with our bookkeeper. She's really good. I'm really good at reading financial reports, but she's more hands-on, and I just so appreciate that every week she's really, we're on top of our money situation on a weekly basis, which a lot of designers are not, but we are on top of our financial reporting. And then she reads the newspaper. I can't tell you I don't think I've ever read a newspaper, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I guess. But she finds these little nuggets of information and interesting things in the newspaper, and several times we've even been featured in the newspaper, and I wouldn't have even known it because I don't read the paper. So thank God for her. So it's just kind of fun how we keep evolving, and that's why the topic of this show kind of came up as we're in this quarantine, like I keep saying. And so we keep thinking about like, okay, when we get released from sheltering at home, what are we looking at? What's it going to be like? And the thing that I find the most fascinating is, we all, our little team of 4, Joann and Kelli, Amy and Lisa, we've all disbanded. We've all been working at home. We go into the office singularly if somebody needs to, but we've really managed quite well. So I'm kind of thinking about, what does this mean exactly? What do we want to, our lease is up next year and we love our office. We love where we are. But do we need it? Do we want it? Is it good? Is a co-working space going to be good for us going forward? Or do we want to keep working at home, or maybe a smaller space? So these are kind of the conversations that this, quarantine has led us to have.
Yeah, it's true. We, as far as like our business too, like our offerings, we do residential and commercial, but as of late, it's really been just mostly commercial design that we're doing. And we love it. And we're so fortunate that we were able to get into that because that's what we're working on mostly right now. And then when we featured our new website, we offered e-design services, which is what a lot of designers are, ramping up to do this because we don't know how long people are going to not want people in their homes. So we've done a great job of getting that all together, and it's been in the works. So if you're interested in e-design or think that's something that you want to learn about, you can go onto our website and it explains that. And then Kelli and I have always had an interest in speaking, and I think that was something that we'll probably do as time goes on. We just feel like we've learned so much and have so much to share with other people. So we're just looking at all that.
And then eventually we'll resume all of our travel. Unfortunately, I had to cancel our Team Guatemala trip this year for the first time in 10 years. And Guatemala's completely shut down, as we wouldn't have been able to fly there anyway. So that was a bummer. And Joann had a beautiful cruise scheduled. I also had a trip to Spain scheduled that I don't think is going to happen. So we are really, really setting our sights for 2021 and hoping that we can start traveling again. Going to Morocco together is still on our bucket list. So we're hoping that mid to end of 2021 we'll be completely resuming that travel. So That's kind of, has been our look back over the last couple weeks as we've been thinking about, look where we are and look how far we've come, and we're hanging in, and we hope all you other small businesses listening are hanging in too. It's a tough time for all of us. And hopefully when we all share these stories, we can, just be inspired.
Quote time.
Yep. I'll do the funny one because you did the funny one last time. Okay. Because this is totally me. Home isolation has its ups and downs. One day, you're flying high and cleaning the baseboards with a Q-tip, and the next day you're drinking tequila and watching squirrels out the window. There's no in between. That is so me. I'm either a sloth watching Netflix or I'm like hyper productive. There's no middle.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, the serious quote. You don't have to physically do anything in order to be productive. A day spent shifting your perspective or laying your thoughts to rest or ironing out your intentions is more powerful than anything you'll get up to do. Start learning to hold yourself accountable in new ways. When anyone asks what you did this weekend, it's okay to say, I got my mind right. It will pave the way for all the physical things you intended to do to begin with. I love that.
I really love that because I think that's what this quarantine time is best for, is really just shifting your perspective, because I think we all have to survive and go forward into the new normal.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you hanging in with us. And actually, I forgot, we did have one other offering, which we've got some interest in. We do have a new link on our website if you go into the shop section, and it's called Pick Your Brain. And you can ask us any questions, send us photos of something that you need some help on or anything like that. So check that out. We're kind of excited about that.
Yeah, it's a quick little thing. It's $250 per 30 minutes, and you can just ask away, and we will help you with anything that you want. So it's a quick little help since we're all at home looking at our walls going, what do I do? So, All right, everybody. Well, thank you for listening, and we appreciate you, and we hope that you are healthy and staying sane in this quarantine time.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Join Joann and Kelli weekly for a lively conversation about trends, travels to industry events, current design projects, the good, the bad, and the ugly, do's and don'ts, product recommendations, and more. Be sure to follow the fun on Facebook. They're on Instagram at Kandrak-Cole, and of course, you've got to visit them online at kandrak-cole.com for more information.